Okay, this is Receiver, and the shortest way to explain what it is that it's a game company's best and very brief. I mean, the development only took it was either 7 or 10 days, I forget, but it was one of those. They did like a challenge. I don't know if it was like a contest or what. I'm pretty sure it was a contest, but the same guys who made Overgrowth, which is this sort of anthropomorphic rabbit ninja fighting game, which sounds bizarre and stupid and cheeky, but it's actually pretty neat. The story is a little not fleshed out, but they've been working on the development for years, and it shows. I mean, it's a polished game. I've played it. I don't know when, but I bought that and Natural Selection 2. I mean, years ago, back when Natural Selection 2 was like, they were doing the not developer, what's the word? Early backer type stuff, I guess is what you could call it, where, I played Natural Selection for years, and I knew I was going to buy the second one, so I figured I'd throw down on the, the pre-order bonus and all that stuff. I mean, this was like 2008, 2009 when they started doing it. So, yeah, I mean, it was a long time ago. Anyway, so Wolfire Games basically said, hey, let's develop a game in, either 7 or 10 days. And this is the result. Basically, the idea, sort of the background behind this is, making a game out of the most realistic firearms mechanics possible. So, anything from one round in the chamber to the weapon's safety to, full auto versus semi, on this particular Glock. I'm trying to think of more. I mean, the revolver, it shows, especially because, there's so many complicated things about revolvers as far as, which rounds in the chamber have been fired. I mean, you can fire round 1, round 3, and round 6, something crazy like that. Anyway, so they basically built it from the ground up, and they said, hey, how realistic can we make gunplay, the gun mechanics? I'll hit the little question button right there, a little question mark, and I'll show you just how complicated it gets. I mean, those are all the controls as the current state I'm in, which is my weapon is unholstered and, pointed at the ground. I'm not raised. I'm not raising the weapon. So, as you can see, there are some obvious control schemes such as moving mouse, to move WSD, standard stuff, jump, space. Starts to get unconventional when you get to pick up nearby. It's hold G, not too complicated. But you can see, obviously, fire weapon is left mouse button, and when you right mouse button, and any kind of, I think what it is the white ones are to change your status in general. But say I hold my weapon, right? Now you can see the options, they change a little bit. The only thing that really changes on this one is, the fact that holding your weapon isn't really relevant anymore, or aiming it, because I am aiming it. But there are things that become more relevant, such as holstering it. Okay, obviously I can't do a whole lot of things with the weapon now. If it's in my holster, I'm not going to be able to shoot it. I'm not going to be able to aim it. You can see down there's an inventory kind of system. I think it's a good spot to put it at. Basically, you have a bunch of different slots. That's slot 1, and then the magazine is slot 2, and I think you got all the way down to slot 4. See, slot 2, you're going to pull it up, and that's the magazine. Now, the magazine acts just as any real-life magazine would. It's not like some other games, some other FPS games, which don't focus so hardcore as far as realism on gun mechanics. So, say you're playing Battlefield, and you have a certain ammo pool. Say you got 200 rounds total, plus what's in your magazine. And say your magazine is 30 rounds. I don't know if Battlefield does it or not, where you can have one in the chamber, so you'll have 30 plus 1, so it'll say 31. I don't remember. But, so you say you shoot 10 rounds, and, now you're down to 20. Now you hit reload, and all that happens is, your magazine gets replenished to 30 once you reload, and your common pool gets, subtracted the 10 rounds that you fire. So now your common pool is sitting at, 190. you know, it's not like you have a not full magazine somewhere in your inventory. It's not like that in this game. In Receiver, you know, if you swap a mag, let's see if I can, I'll just, oops. I'm gonna drop this guy and take his magazine out. I gotta remember, eject magazine. Okay, so this guy's got, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 6 rather. Not including the ones not visible in between the top of the stack and the first window. But, you know, that's not the same as this guy. Is it? Okay, so no, it's not. Okay, so it's not the same. So now I don't have the same amount of rounds. I have less. And I don't know, I mean, just like a real weapon, treat every weapon as if it were loaded, I don't know if the chamber has a round in it. In fact, I think you start out just sort of without a round in the chamber when you get the semi-auto weapons. There's 3 weapons in the game. 2 semi-auto, and then there's 1 revolver. I couldn't tell you the model of the revolver. I just don't care that much about revolvers, but this one seems to be a Glock, and then you also have a 1911 style semi-auto. So anyway, as you can see, you know, I'll drop the magazine, and if I can remember. Okay, so I drop the magazine, and in the top, if I holster my weapon, now I can do ammo management, where I can put rounds into the magazine. Luckily, I spawned with the Glock. It's always a roll of the dice as far as the equipment you get when you start off with. Sometimes you start out with 1 magazine in the Glock, and that's it. I started out with 2. You know, whoopee. I really don't feel like 2 is necessary just because of the game's mechanics. You know, you're not going to be dropping mags in a hurry. You know, and even then, like if it comes time to you know, to be really intense ammo management, you're probably going to be best off running away. Anyway, so I have this magazine, and what I usually prefer to do is have 1 fully loaded magazine. I think this one supports 20. I'm not going to count right now, but so I'm going to just go ahead and fill, actually not this one, but the most full one. Yeah, so it's this one. I'm going to fill this guy as much as I can. So as you can see, realistically, I mean, you can even see the angular sort of angle that it comes in. So that's as much as ammo as I had. You know, if you looked at the top, that's kind of the common pool. I guess it's too late to mention it now, but there were bullets that were moving from there into this magazine. So I'm going to put that back in my inventory, and I'm going to draw the weapon. I'm going to put this magazine into it. So I'm going to insert the magazine. Now, I don't know if my chamber is empty or not. Okay, you pull back the slide. Okay, so obviously it didn't eject a round, so that was empty. It was an empty chamber. Now I've got a round in it, just like real life. If I had ejected the magazine, then I would have been, you know, putting nothing in there. I could rack the slide back and forth all day. But what I'm gonna do, let's see if I remember. So I need 3 more rounds, right? So let me eject. Yeah, I'm gonna eject 3 more rounds. And this is, unfortunately, as far as I know, the only way you can do that. So now I have 3 rounds ejected. I'm going to take out this magazine, put it in my inventory, pick up these rounds, grab that full magazine, mostly full. See, fucking pressing the wrong buttons. See, oh, you got to holster it. Okay, see. It's complicated stuff. I mean, you know, it's one thing if you have your hands where you know what you're doing, but it's another if you just got to press all the buttons and kind of, I mean, you get used to it, especially if you play a lot of rounds. You know, back when I had played several rounds in a row, I could probably do it much quicker, but it's been a little while since I played this game, so. Okay, and then now I have 1 full magazine. So I'm going to draw my weapon again. I'm going to insert the magazine, and now I'm ready to go. And if you remember, I do have 1 in the chamber, because I was racking the slide back a bunch of times, ejecting all those rounds. I do have 1 in the chamber. So I have, what, 20 plus 1. So I got 21 rounds before I got it empty. And that's a pretty big magazine. Shit, I hope it's 21. I'm not lying. Let's see. Well, let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, I lied. It's 15 plus 1, so 16. I was going to say 20 is fucking ridiculous. So anyway, so I got, what, 16 rounds. Cool. I've got this useless ass magazine, which I, you know, fucking whatever. In fact, I might even, what I might do is, and this is all like complicated ammo management stuff that, I mean, to enjoy the game, you know, you don't really have to go through all this shit. I personally prefer to, let's see how many rounds I got. Just gonna eject them all, fuck it. Okay, so now, and the slide even locks back, just like you'd expect it to. So I'm going to put that in my inventory. I'll grab all this bullshit. And yeah, I'm going to holster my weapon. No, I'm not. I'm going to insert this magazine. Yes. Well, fuck. See? I pressed the wrong goddamn button and I dropped it. So I'm going to insert the magazine with Z. And then I'm going to go ahead and pull the slide back. And that's not how it's supposed to happen. That's actually a bug or whatever. So anyway, now I have a round in the chamber. And so I'm going to go ahead and eject that sucker. And I'm going to plug the last couple rounds. Yeah, for some reason it ejected a round when it wasn't supposed to. I don't know why that is, but clearly that's not. God, did I put it? Okay. Clearly that's not what's supposed to happen. Holster my weapon, put a couple rounds in, and yeah, it should be good to go. Again, like I said, I like to use only one magazine, just because that common pull situation works out better. The chances of me having time to change mags and worry about all those buttons versus take out a mag and put what the fuck am I vibrating for? You know, versus take out a magazine and plug a couple more inside of it and put it back in. I mean, the time difference is negligible, and I personally think that it's probably faster just to put the rounds in. And speaking of rounds, you might find, you know, one of the things you're going to happen upon in the world, among other things, is live rounds lying around. And I don't know how often this happens where you live, but in this game, it's all the time. So that's one of the things you're looking out for. You know, you're looking out for those rounds. You're also looking out for equipment. I mean, you're not going to find any other guns. Unfortunately, you spawn spawn with a revolver, and you're fucked. I personally hate it. You know, if nothing else, then the fact that you only have 6 rounds, and to manage which ones are spent and which ones are not when you dump the cylinder is fucking annoying. So yeah, anytime I spawn with a revolver, it's a bad round for me. But you're not going to find another weapon. You know, you got what you got, and that's it. So you're looking for ammo. You're looking for flashlights is actually what I was going to get to. I didn't spawn with a flashlight this round. You know, sucks for me. Sometimes you do. And what the flashlight does is, you know, if there are rounds on any kind of, you know, dark area, say there's a round in the corner, and you know, it's a bad example right there where those rounds are actually fairly visible. But there are some dark areas here. I mean, obviously there's lights here. That's why they were so visible. But there are dark areas, and you know, you're not gonna be able to see them, especially if you're going by quickly. So you might clear a room and not notice there's a bunch of things in there. You know, a bunch of rounds down there, and you know, it sucks to be you because you missed out on, you know, the most valuable commodity in the game, if you ask me, which is ammo, because this game is not friendly with as far as ammo conservation goes. You know, you can freaking blow through ammo real quick, especially if you panic fire, and there's one particular enemy that you usually panic fire. So speaking of enemies, you know, what am I collecting rounds for if I'm not going to use it on something? There are 2 enemies, and I guess I'm just going to play it, and you'll see the first enemy, and I'll explain that, and I'll kind of duck back somewhere, or I can explain the rest of them. And one thing you always want to do with the Glock is, for some reason, it starts out fully auto, I think. So I think this is semi-auto. Either that or I'm going to eat my words later, but, you know, I'm using fully auto is almost never a good idea. You know, you don't usually get into that kind of close encounter that you're going to want fully auto anyway. Okay. And you're going to want to clear rooms and check corners and stuff like that. I mean, one of the things that you can do that you might not notice until you play is that your gun, there's a bunch of options of how you can put your weapon on the screen. Two of the most important variables are whether or not the gun is locked to the center of the screen and how far it is away from you. So I'm just going to toggle that whole lock gun to screen center right there in the options by hitting escape. And if you look, this weapon moves around the screen before it touches the edge and moves my vision. You know, so you might be able to get a little more precise of a shot, I guess. I mean, I don't even know why you would want that, but that's an option. I guess it's more realistic. I mean, you can move your arms independently of your face in real life, so I guess that's the intent there. But personally, I hate it. I don't know if I'm cheating by putting on a lock gun at screen center, but you know, it is what it is. That's what I do. Another option is the distance from eye to gun. That's kind of personal preference. I put it right in the middle because I think it's a happy medium between way out here, you know, it's kind of too small, if you ask me, and way up here. You know, I kind of hated being up in my face so hard. So I put it right in the middle. You know, as far as mouse sensitivity, that's obviously another personal preference you might be more familiar with. Um, I like it right in the middle in this game. If you put it, it's actually pretty sensitive. And with this game, because it's iron sights and because your enemies, I mean, they don't have like hit points, and you know, you don't shoot them in the leg a couple times, and then they, you know, and then they die. In this game, it's all about components, where you're shooting the enemies, and you'll see in a minute. You know, you could hit them somewhere where it disables them. You could hit it somewhere where it kills them. It all depends on where you hit them. And up in the top right, one thing that is kind of storyline specific. It says 0 tapes absorbed out of 11. And what the hell is the tape absorbed? Well, that's like the third thing you're going to be looking for as far as picking stuff up is tapes. The tapes I'm actually going to ignore if I do like a full playthrough of this game, just because it's the story, and I don't want to spoil it for you if you actually play it, because the ambiance of this game, and I've turned the music down, but the ambiance of this game is really good. And you kind of get into the story if you play it. It's actually really neat. It's kind of, I don't want to say it's like the Matrix, but it's kind of like the Matrix, where, you know, you're in like a simulated thing, and you know, you're not aware of it and all this. So, you know, it's pretty neat. I mean, I guess it's been done obviously, but you know, again, these guys spent 7-10 days, however long, you know, you only spend so many days on the story, but for what it's worth, I like it. Try to think if I didn't cover anything. Again, you know, the semi-auto mechanics are a little more complicated as far as what buttons you can push. I mean, there's a million things: pull back, slide, release, slide, lock, you know, everything. But the revolver is more annoying, if you ask me. It's a little more simple, but it's an irritating, especially because you can pull back the hammer, and that's kind of pointless because the difference between a single action and a double action, you can feel on the trigger in a real weapon, but you can't feel it in the game. You pull the trigger, it's still going to fire. And again, I mean, that revolver is double single. It's not, you know, you have to pull pull the hammer back. You can pull it or not. It doesn't matter. So anyway, they got the gun mechanics pretty good, except for that last glitch. I've never noticed that happen before, but no promises. It might happen all the time. I don't know. It was a glitch, so I'll just give them the benefit of the doubt. But all right, I'm gonna keep doing my thing. I was checking. I don't remember what shit I checked. It's because I was talking too much. But yeah, I already checked this area. But you pretty much are checking for, and I'm gonna be surprised if I happen upon one in like a second. But you're checking for these robots, bad guys. There's 2 types of bad guys, and I'm not gonna talk too much while I'm being tactical and shit. 2 kinds of bad guys. There's the stationary ones and the mobile ones. They're both robots, like I said, just because of how the story works. Actually, I guess the story, I mean, this is all supposed to be simulation if you listen to the story. So, and that's about all I'll say about the story itself. And you think that receiver has to do with, you know, the gun, but it doesn't. But I guess it's kind of like a play on words, because it's also having to do with something else in the story that you'll see if you play the game. Oh, as far as movement goes, I mean, walk is the default. You can see I'm walking around right now. Oh, look, there's something right there I almost missed. I don't know if I can grab it from here. Yep. Alright, so some ammo. So walk is kind of the default. To run, you have to tap W, and it's not like Minecraft where you double tap and you just hold it, because this is double tap and hold. You sprint for like a second, and then you stop and you walk again. You're supposed to be tap, 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 tap. You know, you keep pressing it, just like Grand Theft Auto or something, to make yourself sprint or run or whatever it's supposed to be. I mean, it's kind of a sprint. I mean, you can't do much while you're doing that, so I'm guessing it's a sprint. You can't like reload while you're running. And if it comes to running away, then you're probably fucked anyway, because the enemy that can run that can move is pretty fast. I want to say he's a little bit faster than your running speed, but don't quote me on that. I don't like popping up on a stairwell to check corners and shit. It's not very safe. So yeah, I'm just gonna check over here. There's some bullets. Grab that. Hold G to grab stuff. Let's see if I missed anything. So, I mean, as far as choosing what areas to go to, it's just, you know, roll the dice. Every area has like multiple entrances and exits or whatever. And as far as choosing which one, it doesn't really matter. If you have a good sense of memory and spatial awareness, then you know you can get around the level pretty quick. And you know, this is the one shitty spot when you have to do this because they can see your legs before you can see them. So I'll kind of crouch so I can get a better perspective. This area is common for the mobile ones. I'm looking there's one of them right there. Okay, you saw it for a second. I'm gonna pull back just so he doesn't see me. Their field of view, they have a little flashlight that flashes like red and blue or something. And you know, it'll scan around. And with the mobile guys, like you saw, he's kind of like a little helicopter. They have a sort of you know, other than what they have, like a peripheral vision, so it's not quite as clear where they're looking, which kind of sucks. The stationary guys, on the other hand, they pretty much only look where the actual field of view kind of flashlight looking thing is. I'm trying to listen really close. I'm turning my volume up because one of the biggest cues in the game is audio, as far as if they see you or not. They make a funny beeping noise when they see you. Okay, you see that blue thing that just passed by? That was his field of view. So they make a beeping noise when they see you, and then they come try to kill your ass. So generally it's good to have your volume nice and tuned up. I have the music down, but I have the rest of the volume up just so I can hear you know, the audio cues. Oh, see, there we go. There's that beeping noise. So he's gonna come right at me, and he might be able to get. There we go. See, he might be able to get to me, might not, depending on. And they give up. They give up after they look for you for a second. These guys don't give up as easy as the stationary targets do, but after a certain amount of time, they give up. As far as killing them goes, I mean, I got lucky with that. The first one was a miss, but the second one, second round, just killed him dead. So that can happen. What can also happen is you might disable this particular guy's freaking his helicopter blade, so he'll fall, but he won't be dead. His weapon is something you may or may not be able to disable. I don't know. I mean, I haven't played this game in a while. I don't remember. But what he does is he's contact. He touches you, and it's like a little taser where I guess it presumably kills you. Where he comes up to you and he zaps you and you're dead. So, or at least you're done. Who knows if it's canon you die or not? But so he doesn't actually shoot at you. The stationary guys do. They shoot at you, and once you get shot, you're dead. I mean, it's not like, you know, in another game where you might get shot a bunch of times or maybe even twice. I mean, some of the most hardcore games or whatever, FPS-wise, you play on hardcore mode of Call of Duty or Battlefield, and, you know, you might take 2 or 3 bullets. You may be able to get healed up, you know, if it's that blood screen thing where you heal or whatever. But this game, you're shot and you just kind of, you might actually go for like a half second or so more, like a second, and then you'll just kind of like fall to your knees. And I'm sure you'll get a chance to see me die in this, especially because I'm distracted explaining shit. So, you know, you just kind of slump to the ground and you're done, and it just resets everything. As far as the level goes, the level layout is randomly generated. Each room is not. So this room, you know, is pre-designed. This is one particular type, and like I said, those flying enemies are pretty common. And like you know, just as you saw, he was here. I wouldn't be surprised if there was another one. I'm trying to listen, but I don't hear another one. But that doesn't necessarily mean that he's not there, because it could be outside of my, you know, sort of hearing range. And you know, that other room that I've been in, you know, I've been in that kind of room before, but it's not necessarily connected to this big thing. You know, so it's all kind of randomly ordered, and where you come into the world is random. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. I know some aspect to it is random. Might be lying, but I'm 90% sure about that. And I think I covered everything. I mean, as far as engaging the enemy. And like I said, there are different components that you can disable. One of the things you can disable is the camera. I don't know if this guy has a specific camera spot. He might be just one total UAV package, but I know for a fact that the stationary enemies are kind of like a sentry turret, like you might see in Team Fortress or something. He just sits there and rotates, you know, 360 degrees, and one of the things you can kill is his motor to rotate. Another thing you can kill is his camera. So he might stay rotating, and you walk by him, he's not going to shoot at you, which is kind of like unnerving, because you'll pass by him and you'll think that you haven't taken him out. Say you go back through a room that you didn't take an entrance or an exit that you wanted to later. So you go back through that area, and you come back and you realize that something's moving. You're like, ah, shit, maybe you panic shoot at it or something, because you weren't expecting it, because you thought mentally you cleared that room. Which is fortunate, because the sentries don't move around, and these little hovery guys, they just stay put in general. But so you come back to the room and he's still moving, so you freak out, you shoot at him, but he was already dead. He couldn't shoot at you. That happens. Also, like I said, if you disable his motor, but he's pointed in that direction, and you're like, okay, cool, that's clear, that's good to go, and you clear the rest of the room, and you say, oh, there's a tape over there, let me go check that out. So you walk by, and he's standing here, and you walk through his field of vision, he goes beep beep, boom boom boom, and he shoots you, and you're dead. So I mean, just because an enemy stopped moving doesn't mean it's necessarily disabled. I'll show you when I actually kill one of the sentries. I'll show you what it looks like when they're dead. I mean, they just kind of like droop down instead of pointing straight. But on the other hand, they can be drooped down and not dead if, let's say you're below them and they droop down to shoot at you, and they're rotating like this now instead of up in the horizon. So they're rotating down here, and let's say that you shoot their motor. Well, they're gonna look like they're dead, but they're actually not. And I don't know if there's a visual cue. I don't remember, like, if their lights are still on or what. I mean, it's kind of really specific circumstance. You might not get a chance to see that, but long story short, just because it looks dead doesn't mean it is. I mean, with these guys, when it's dead like that, it's dead. But the other ones, it's kind of tricky to tell. So let me just try to not get myself killed. And oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. What happened? Did I stand up? Whatever. You can't really loot anything. I wish you could. I mean, one of the things I tried when I first started playing the game is coming up to these guys. Like, here's his taser, by the way. So you come up to these guys and you're like, hey, well, not these, but the sentries. I'm like, hey, maybe maybe I can bump some ammo off of him. Maybe NATO. Maybe use the same damn rounds. Oh, and there's my spent shell casing. So maybe use the same rounds, but you can't. I mean, as far as I can tell, you can't open them up or anything like that. Sometimes you get a little worried because, I mean, the blinking lights, is that an enemy or is that a, stupid little airplane warning thing? I don't know what you call those, but no, those are just the lights of the building. So, I don't have my weapon at the ready because I'm stupid. And sometimes you pay for not being prepared, Oh, something sees me. Shit, yep, that's one flying guys. Hate those. So yeah, you shoot him in a place where it doesn't do anything. Like, you saw those first 2 rounds, I'm pretty sure they hit him, or at least the first one did. And he bounces around, but I didn't hit him in anything vital. Either it deflected into the wall right there, or it just hit his aluminum strut. And okay, he's cosmetically fucked up, or he can't land now, but he can still kill you. So sometimes it's a little tricky with killing them. Just like shooting somebody in the foot, that's not gonna kill him. All right, make sure the magazine's fully prepped. Insert. Oh, see, with the 1911, the controls are slightly different. I keep pressing E to insert, but just you got to pay attention to the top right. And if you're in the heat of the moment, you're trying to do something quick. Oh shit, loaded for a second. In the heat of the moment, you're trying to do something pretty quick. Oh shit. Really hope. It would have been funny if it hit me and I died. The one thing you can also die from, other than getting shot or tased, is fall damage, and that's definitely high enough. And I think that's high enough too. It's actually it's almost like break your leg distance is kind of their judge as far as a height to die from. So sometimes it's a little cheesy because you jump a couple steps or 3 or 4 steps. Oh shit. Okay, I didn't get shot. That was an example of the sentry, and I wasn't being tactical. I was looking all around. So anyway, I'll shoot him in a minute, but you can see his little patrol light there. So if you jump out and it's in that patrol scan, he'll start shooting at you after like a half second, where he first he beeps to say, hey, I see you, and then he starts shooting at you. Anyway, so you'll fall from some kind of cheap distance, like right there or something. You'll fall and be like, okay, cool, I dropped, and then like a second later you'll just die because you fell too far. So sometimes it's kind of lame. Alright, so you can see a bunch of components on him. I guess I'll show you the components after I shoot him. When you're close like that, I mean, you can get a good shot off, but sometimes they're in a good spot where they can really fuck you up. I mean, obviously I was surprised there, so maybe that was a good spot for him. But sometimes they're in a doorway, and you have no choice but to engage them at distance. And, you know, you may not get a perfect shot off, and like I just did, where I can just put it right into the middle, and that pretty much kills it. There must be a CPU in there. But they're a bunch of different components. I'd be able to tell you, but I don't remember. And funny enough, one of the tapes that you can pick up is actually, it explains what components are what. I mean, you have the weapon here, the main gun, and you've got like a camera. So, like I said, if you disable that, he won't see you, but he's still moving. You know, the motor and the battery and all these different components where they may disable them, they may look disabled. You know, it's all very touchy. Oh, fuck. Insert Z. Okay. Oh, I hear somebody. I kind of want to die just so you can see what that's like.